welcome to Empowered with Gina here at the ZA Ranch compound and hosting our podcast with some of my local friends who I'm just so inspired by and I'm so proud to introduce you to. So today we have Jennifer Meadows, managing editor of Social Magazines. Hi, friend. Welcome.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
I'm
I'm so
so
excited.
Let me tell you, to get this woman to sit here right now, I am like really proud and excited because I'm busy. She's pretty busier than me, pretty much busier than me. And so I thank you for making the time and coming out.
I'm glad I was able to make the time. I'm so glad you reached out so I could do
Yes.
this because I love watching this podcast.
Yay. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. So I start all of my podcasts asking my guests 3 adjectives to describe yourself.
I would say resilient, an activator.
Ooh.
Yeah. And introspective.
Activator.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's used that one before.
Mm.
I like it. Where did you grow up?
So I grew up here in Louisiana, but I come from a very Latin family,
Hello.
which isn't very common here. So I grew up, everyone wanted to know, what are you?
Really?
So it's kind of different growing up in the South, being Spanish, but I say resilient because I was born, my dad was killed 3 weeks later, drunk driver, bad accident. And so I grew up around more women, 3 weeks, strong women. And so I spent a lot of my summers in Chicago. Wow. Yeah. But living in Louisiana is great. My mom, had 2 more kids. So I was the eldest, and really mothered my sister and brother. Super competitive. I played like sports and grades. I always had to have the best grades. So I grew up really competitive. Yeah. And my mom stayed home for most of my life until she didn't. And then I really got to see a career woman. And it was really, it was like 5th grade, so like 10-ish. Yeah. And I saw her go from a woman who, stayed at home, did crafts with us, to a business suit. Ooh. And I saw a change. Like I felt the change. Sure. And I was like, I don't know what she's doing. Like I didn't really understand, but I was like, I like that.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Okay. And did you go to school locally, your whole education?
Yeah. So I went to public school, graduated, did the dance team, captain the dance team, all that kind of fun stuff. Went to college locally, went to Southeastern. All of my friends went to LSU. And I knew that big schools, like that was not going to be for me. I was always like in honors classes in high school. So I knew like a smaller setting was better for me. Mm-hmm. And I knew that early on. So I went to Southeastern, accounting, kind of nerdy, kind of boring. But at the root of who I am, I'm kind of nerdy. I'm kind of boring. Okay. That's why I say introspective. So I'm just kind of like, and so after school, got my first corporate job. I wanted to be, wanted to wear the business suit. Yeah. I saw my mom have the business suit. I wanted the business suit. And I learned early on that a 23-year-old girl going into corporate America, who I was, that didn't jive with everybody else at the business. I was the finance manager and I came in and I did my job and I did it well, got promoted early on. And that didn't work out. The other ladies in the office, that didn't jive with them.
How interesting. So it was the ladies in the office that made it harder.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say, the typical pretty hot young thing, smart, capable, but nobody takes her serious from the men.
No, the men saw early on, and honestly, they did. They saw, capable, smart, and so that's why I was promoted. Maybe that's why I was promoted. But I learned early on that working for someone was not going to be for me. Okay. That was my first step into it. And then I turned, motherhood happened and I raised my babies. I was at home with both of my kids until they went to school. And then I knew that it was my turn because I went through divorce.
Same.
And I had to, and I say this all the time, everything is figure outable.
100%.
And at that moment, I knew, okay, I was staying at home with my kids, but like I have to do something.
Yeah.
And I know that I'm not going to work for the man. I'm not going to work for someone else. I wasn't going to let someone take my time
Yes.
and use it for their gain. And so I started a photography business because that's easy and flexible. We had a studio. I did weddings and did really well until I got the attention of a magazine. And I started doing some work for them. And the owner called and said, hey, okay, you're good at this, but like, let's chat. And so at the end of the conversation, he's like, you're my editor. Like,
wow,
you need to do this. And so
having no editorial background.
None. But I knew
Whoa.
what I knew, and I knew that I could do it because everything's figure outable.
Always.
So I took the chance. I am a risk taker. So I'm an activator. So I can figure it out. Like I can take a thought and put some action into it. And so we did. We started a magazine in New Orleans. It launched the week of COVID.
Jeez.
And
perfect.
So we had just...
An actual magazine or a virtual?
Yeah. So it was VIP New Orleans at the time. It was an actual magazine. And we had just finished shaking hands with the CEO of Ochsner. We had...
What's Ochsner?
It's a big hospital in New Orleans.
Okay.
It is one of the biggest hospitals in New Orleans. And they had invited us to a big event. They asked us to put magazines on all of the chairs. And we're all shaking hands.
No.
Yes. And so the world stopped. Life happened. And I have to tell you, it was divine intervention.
Stop.
It was the best thing that happened to our magazine.
But you didn't feel it at the time. You were like, this is the worst thing ever that could happen,
Well,
which it really was.
I kept telling my boss, he's like, there's this COVID thing. I was like, that's not happening. Like the world is not shutting down for a virus.
I said the same thing.
I was like, surely... I was like, no. And he still teases me about that.
I said the same thing.
And so we came and we launched on the North Shore in the middle of COVID. September was our first issue. I knew we could do it. I knew even though things were closed down, life had slowed down and simpler times were had. We were playing Uno with our kids. We weren't watching as much TV. Now we might have been on TikTok dancing. I mean, maybe, but people still wanted to know about people, and we weren't having events. We are event-based, our publication is, but we got creative. So golf tournaments were still happening, and that's attached to charities, and that we love to highlight charities. And so we figured it out, and we have grown. And, you know, I have an owner. I always said I wouldn't work for the man, but this man allows me to take this business and really showcase and highlight our community. And so I've been with him 4 years tomorrow.
Oh, congratulations.
And thanks. And so we're just excited to be able to highlight the community.
Okay, so COVID ended up being a catalyst for growth for you because you were forced to think outside the box, which probably opened up avenues that you're probably still utilizing today, I would think. Are you virtual at all?
Yeah, we do have a digital copy. Everything we have in the magazine, we complement online.
Okay, so talk about the magazine exactly. So, and I just learned this when you got here. You can't purchase the front cover.
No. So this magazine is very different. So it's kind of like Instagram, Facebook in a publication. So we like to see people, so we highlight events, local events, business leaders, and charities. And so you can never purchase the cover except once a year we auction off the cover at the big, it's the premier event, here on the North Shore. It's called Mutts to Models. And so we auction it off every single year. Oh. And this year it was phenomenal.
And that apparently is the event to be at around these parts.
That is the one to be. Everyone is dressed to the nines. The food is good. The entertainment is good. And it is for a really great charity. The St. Tammany Animal Services Department is doing wonderful things in our community. And we're just glad to be a part of it.
Beautiful. So let's pivot to being I hate this term, working mom. Like, I don't know why I hate it. I'm still trying to work through that. How is that for you?
I am a working mom. I think we can be all the things that
and maybe that's the thing, because I'm just like, it's so limiting. It's so definitive.
I
Because you're more than just that.
and that's what I was going to say. We're so much more than that. But if we're going to label it, fine. If that makes someone feel good, fine. You know, I am a working mom. I live the most unconventional life. So I am married. We live in 2 different states. I live alone with my kids. He lives with his daughter, and it's beautiful. Like I said, I was divorced, so now I figured it out, right? And
Yeah.
so this is a great way to do it. We've been together so long, and he lets me be me, and I'm able to really be successful in the business that I do, and he's very successful. And we still drag kids to tennis, and we still drag kids to dance and basketball. But I think you can do it all.
Yep.
I think you can do it all. I think we all need to take, divorce life, your mess, make it your message. And I think we're,
That's so good.
yeah, I think we can do it. There's nothing we can't do if we want to.
So a lot of people listening to this, and I love, love, love that you're an outside the box thinker and doer and liver of life. Like, there's no perfect way. There's not the suburban home with the husband, wife, kids, and everything outside of that is wrong and something's wrong with you. Because that's very much me. I am not inside the box, never have been, and have always felt, I've had times where I felt something was wrong with me, or right now I'm not in that space. But before, I very much felt something was wrong with me. I'm too much. I must be strange. I'm a strange duck, because you and I similarly do not fit into that. What would you tell people listening to this podcast who are intrigued by this, and they have that like little, ember burning in their gut, which we have all had? How do they ignite it? And what should they be prepared to face as they do decide to execute and start living outside of this box situation? What interactions or behavior from other people do you think that they would get, and how to work through it?
I would say stand on top of the box, stomp on the box, get over the box, because you need to do whatever fuels you. If being a single aunt your whole life is your thing, do that. If being a stay-at-home mom is what you want to do, do that.
Do it.
If you want to be the CEO of 5 companies, do that. There will be people along the way who don't get it. They don't have to. I think.
What about the criticism and the judgment?
My first mind would say flip off the haters. We don't care. But honestly, I mean, when you go to sleep at night, do you really care? If you do, I would say spend some time with God, figure it out, or whoever that you want to spend time with. I honestly, my whole life, I am someone who is like unbothered. I live unbothered. Like I could care less.
We need that on a shirt. I live unbothered.
I live unbothered. Like most of the time I don't even know what's going on with other people. I'm not someone, I'll never have imposter syndrome or anything like that. I don't really care. Like if you're doing great, good for you. If I'm doing great, great. And there's times I'm not doing great.
Right. And that's just part of it.
That's okay. That's okay. I think that's part of the process.
That's it right there.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay.
It's okay.
We've been taught in this society, especially, as a working woman, whatever, or even just working through life, whatever it is that you're doing. And I talk about this, that failures, man, they can define you. I knew she couldn't do it. See, I told you shouldn't have taken that risk. That was a big mistake. You fell straight on your face.
But every failure turns into success. If we never fail, how do we know what's really good? So my marriage right now is so beautiful, but I would have never known how beautiful it was if I didn't know the failures. It is there is so much beauty in the failure.
Oh
so
my gosh, yes.
Fall.
Keep falling.
Fall again and again and again until you get up and you stand on the box and you stomp the box.
Yeah, stomp on it.
Yeah.
People are scared. It's easier for you, Jen. You don't get imposter syndrome. You don't nothing bothers you, but things bother me. You know, I'm in a community where people judge me and I can't stand out. I have to do these kind of things. Again, I want to connect and maybe just give a tidbit of advice to that person.
I would say find the people that make you feel like the most you. So introspective, right? I have a hard time finding my tribe. Always have. Always have. I'm definitely a girl's girl, but I have a hard time finding my girls. I think growing up when, like I said, in a Latin family, but not in a Latin community, always like, who are you? You're always the outsider.
Interesting.
And so I feel like I've always maybe had that a little bit. And so just finding your tribe, when you feel like the most yourself, those are your people. So,
And even if that's being alone, that's an answer as well.
Alone?
Maybe that's kind of what we should be doing. And it doesn't have to be that way forever.
No.
There's journeys and phases.
Oh, there's definitely phases. I think it took me a long time to get here to sit across from you because I needed to take some time to myself, but it's kind of like a restart, refresh, a reminder. I have a marketing company, 23 Marketing, and I'm the CMO.
Oh, let's talk about this.
Yeah.
Because you weren't busy enough.
Because I wasn't busy enough. So, when I was staying at home with my kids, I love staying at home with my kids. Like I said, if you want to be a stay-at-home mom, do that. I did that, but I wanted to do something else. And so back in 2009, a long time ago when the internet was a baby,
wow.
I was a mom blogger.
Oh.
So I would speak at conferences on vlogging your life, before video blogging, before a life in the day.
Really?
You can find me on the internet with my first marriage last name. Really? But I was able to do that kind of thing. And so I knew I loved social media. I knew I loved social media marketing. So a year ago when I thought, well, let's do something else. What else? Yeah. What more? I'm always what more.
Yeah.
What more can we do? And so I teamed up with two gals. Life just collided in a way that the number 23 was special for the three of us. My dad was killed on the 23rd. And growing up, I hated that number, but my son loves basketball. And so Michael Jordan, number 23, was prevalent in my house. He had the signs, he had it on his phone. And it was just a number. When I met my husband, it was him and his daughter, 2. And then there's the 3 of us.
Oh my gosh.
And so these other ladies had our COO, I think is her title, Becky. Her birthday's on the 23rd. Her daughter, so it's her and her daughter that I do.
Did you look into it, or that you just kind of like noticed 23?
Well, we started talking and I was just like, when's your birthday? And she's like, the 23rd. And I was like, oh, let me tell you about this. And then I got married last year on the 23rd of April. And so anyway, it was one of those things. Yeah. And so we've been doing digital marketing for locals. So I'm very specific. I want to stay close. I want to be able to go like sit and have a meeting with them, have coffee, really work through it. And we've had some really great success this past year, and it is catching fire. And so in my downtime, I was able to really hone in on what our business could do. And so
what kind of clients would you have?
So we have a med spa, we do realtors. I would say more of your luxury businesses, small businesses.
Mm-hmm. And so you come in and are basically their social media people.
We're the social media team. So basically my position is just the strategist. I want to think out of the box. So I look at the business and figure ways to do it differently, better. And they have found great success so far. So I'm super excited.
That's fabulous. And that's really important because a lot of people I know are small business owners, and they don't have the wherewithal, one, to focus on social media on top of everything else they're managing. And so I understand the value, and as do you, of investing in an external social media team, that's marketing now.
Oh, for sure. Here's the thing. I say it all the time. It's not that people don't know how to market their business. They love their business. They know their business better than anybody else, but they're spending so much time on their business. They need somebody else to showcase the great things that they do. And I think we're able to do that.
That's fabulous. And so you're super selective. So anyone local who's high end, get in now, because I have a feeling you're going to say no more after a certain point, and you're like super exclusive.
I did. I actually just told someone we were just meeting with, I said, we have a cap. We're going to get close to that, and I won't be able to do more. But I know I can do a lot for the ones that we have. And so to me, it's important to kind of keep it there.
Fabulous. So back to the magazine. This is in Louisiana and Alabama.
It is. So we are Social North Shore. We are Social Eastern Shore, which covers Daphne, Fairhope. And then we are also Social Coastal, which is Orange Beach,
gosh.
Perdido Keys, that area.
How exciting.
Very exciting. And there might be another one coming soon.
To Los Angeles?
Maybe one day.
Outside of the box thinkers.
Maybe. Yes, that could get me over there. So maybe so.
Hey, sky's the limit for us.
That's right.
So before we conclude, I just want anything else you want to share with people, women, people in your position who may relate to your story at any part of the story. What message would you have for them going through divorce, remarriage, long distance relationship, building business or not?
Yeah, I think I would just tell you to go through it. Let your mess be your message. Let the test be the testimony. Keep going.
Beautiful. How can people find you?
You can find me on social media. Our magazine is at Social North Shore. You can find me personally at Keep It Classy Jen. Keep It Classy Jen. And at 23 Marketing.
And we will post everything in the caption so you can connect with Jen. My friend, thank you for coming.
Thank you
Appreciate
so
it.
much for having me. It's
Absolutely.
so nice. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.